Hey, when it does that.
Oh, go straight into election. We have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Resuming our public meeting after the completion of our executive session. Many thanks to Lincoln Center for providing us with this beautiful space to meet tonight. One note, on Saturday, October 18th and Sunday, October 19th, more than 200 firehouses and EMS locations will open their doors to the public from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., including most of the firehouses on the Upper West Side. So to your interest, if that is something you'd like to attend, they expect to educate the public about fire and life safety and show the firehouses. I'd like to call to everyone's attention, and perhaps Adam can flesh this out if necessary, that we have a large meeting convening regarding the landmarks item for West Park Presbyterian Church this Thursday, and it's at 6:30. At the location is Joan of Arc High School, right? Great. I'd like to give Doug a moment to provide some information about a local institution.
Just wanted to mention that some of you may have read in the newspaper that we lost Saul Zabar today, age 97. He was a friend, a client, but really a wonderful family that, a neighborhood stalwart, a huge business, employs many people still. Also a very large landlord in the neighborhood, a very benevolent landlord, and we'll miss him. Thank you. Wearing my orange in solidarity for him.
This is the last full board meeting I will manage as chair. And I want to thank the board members, past and present, from whom I've learned so much, and the members of this amazing community who bring us their concerns and passions at every meeting. I feel particular gratitude to the office staff who have rebuilt a high-functioning support system that has taken our work to another level. I've watched with admiration how our members have given their time and talent to improve how this board operates and the effectiveness of our advocacy. While there's lots more for the incoming officers to do, I believe we are in a far better place than we were 3 years ago when I took on this role. We have a lot to do tonight, so I will finish there and move on to approving the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Thank you. We first have to approve the minutes we forgot to approve last month for June 25th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We also need to approve the minutes for September 2nd, last month's full board meeting. Motion to approve? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the roll call. We have, as you may remember, special provisions in our bylaws relating to the roll call on a night when we are holding an election. In order to vote in the election, you must be at the roll call with a responsive yes. So this vote is important to get yourself in on, or your votes will not be counted in the election. So with that, again, vote on your phone, yes, if you are present.
Voting is now open. Again, for folks, oops. I don't know, whomever is sharing their screen. Alex, I'm not sure if that's you in the back. Jesse? For folks who are online, I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but if you can, a reminder to please vote if you have not already done so.
Okay, give it a few seconds. Is there
Give it a few
anyone
more
who's had
seconds.
difficulty?
We lost someone online is the issue. I don't know if they're.
What about now? Up, down? Yeah. Up and just.
Okay. Well, we are gonna stop the vote in like 10 seconds. So last chance.
We appear to,
We got our vote.
We did get her vote. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna stop the vote.
for,
44,000. So you'll have-
well, no one's going to vote, they're not here. So with 44, which means,
Strange.
means a vote. Yeah, if you didn't hear that, because Elizabeth wasn't on mic, 23 is the magic number for someone to be successful in the election. With that, let me call on Elizabeth and on Kay and online Daria to lead us through the election process. Thank you.
Ready for our election? Excited. All right. Okay, I think everyone's read the rules. We've sent them to you a couple times. Nothing really new other than we're doing mobile voting for the first time. So this is very exciting. I want to thank all the folks who have been involved in this process, from the board staff and from the board itself. We are going to start presentations from each of the candidates. Each candidate will have up to 5 minutes to address the group. At the end of each category, so chair, vice chair, et cetera, there will be time for Q&A from the audience, from all of you. And then we'll move on to the next category. And then at the end of that round, we will conduct the first round of voting. As was mentioned, the magic number tonight is, what did we say, 23? 23. So in the event in the first round of voting that a candidate does not receive those 23 votes, we will do a second round of voting. Ostensibly, that would only be for the chair's race. Unless a lot of people don't vote. We hope everyone will vote in the other elections as well. And then we will announce all the winners, and we will announce the winners of all the elections for which have achieved the 23 votes at the end of the first round. And if another round is required, we will run that election accordingly. For the speeches, we will begin with the chair, and we are going to draw out of the very scientific method of drawing out of Cave Carpen's hat for the speaking order. So I guess, are there any questions? Are we ready to start? So very exciting. We're going to drop them in the hat, and we're going to choose, do 1, 2, and 3 right now between Alex, Doug, and Natasha. So the first speaker will be Natasha, followed by Alex, followed by Doug. Oh, and we will have a timer. We'll notify you at the 30-second mark, and then Daria, who's online. Thank you, Daria, for your help. She will announce when the 5 minutes are up.
Hi, everyone. I've never spoken about myself for 5 whole minutes, so just bear with me. I want to thank everybody. I also want to congratulate everybody in advance who will be winning tonight, and also wish everybody the best, including my fellow candidates for chair. Over the last month and a half, I've spoken to many of you about the issues that are important to you and getting to know you better and having you get to know me better. I wasn't sure what I would talk about today, but there were a few themes that kept coming up in my conversations, and I'll go through them very briefly. One of the questions that I got asked by a few people was, what exactly is the board good for? And what do we actually do here that makes a difference? And I was kind of like taken aback by this question. And ultimately, I think after giving it a lot of thought, at the core, I think what we handle are really quality of life issues. It doesn't matter whether you are concerned about the dangerous conditions on our streets from e-bikes or whatever. It doesn't matter whether you are concerned about a high rise going up in your street of low slung buildings, or whether you are for or against a historic church being taken down. It's all about quality of life. And I feel like we are most successful as a board when we stay focused on the issue that is in front of us instead of getting distracted by other ancillary issues. So if there's a resolution or an application in front of us, often I find that we are taken more seriously by city agencies, and we are able to have a productive discussion when we stay focused in that. And another, I think, key factor of success is when the public is involved, not just in bringing us their problems, but also when they're involved in actively resolving those problems. Like the success of the Verde Square Friends Group is one example of that. It kind of started out before COVID through a meeting, a Parks Committee meeting, actually. And today the park is very much transformed thanks to a friends group that came out of our board. Another question that I get asked is, what is my big picture plan for the board? And I feel like I'm not someone who's going to move quickly and break things, but I'm instead going to try to support people who might have ideas or who might be struggling with existing systems. As you know, many of you are aware that many changes to procedures and processes and systems have come about in the last 2 to 3 years. I've heard about technology. Some of you are fans, others are not fans of the changes in technologies or managing the Zoom interface yourselves during our meetings. But I feel like we have to move forward. We have to go where the technology is going. And if you need support, that's what I'm going to help you find. But I don't think we can go back. And another thing that is important to me is public safety. It is one of the main reasons why I joined the board. I think that's top of mind of a lot of you. I don't believe that public safety is an issue in a vacuum. It's not like public safety issues are different south of 59th Street or north of 110th Street. We should have relationships with the community boards like contiguous to us so that we can maybe tackle these things together. I'm also a believer in the broken windows concept. And I feel like anything from like overflowing trash cans to illegal cannabis stores to open drug use or people not cleaning up after their pets on the sidewalks, all these factors come together to create an overall feeling of lack of safety. And that is what we as a community board are here to resolve. And I would also like to focus on relationships, whether it is creating new relationships with departments like the DEP, the Environmental Protection Department, or strengthening relationships with other agencies like the DOT, and also focusing on relationships between us as a board and the community. And finally, I've been asked if I actually have the time to devote to the board as chair, which is a very intense job, and for no money. And so my answer is that I'm going into this with my eyes wide open. I don't really know if there's a better answer to that. I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. I have an elderly parent. My life is challenging, but I challenge you to find somebody whose life is not. And, I look forward to hearing whatever the result is tonight. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Alex Bell, running for chair, lifelong Upper West Sider. I currently work at Meta as a software engineering manager of managing 50 people, which helps and is applicable to the work of managing the board staff and helping improve. I also recently joined the NYPD Auxiliary, the 20th Precinct. So I'm out there kind of helping improve Upper West Side safety. I am not tied to any advocacy group, and I have no conflict of interest. I love the Upper West Side like a family member, and I think there are some things we need to improve, and I want Community Board 7 to be a part of that solution. I have a proven track record of improving CB7. I built the website, which we use to post resolutions and all of our stuff. The phone voting system, which we're using tonight, streamlined our communication as the tech officer. My vision for improving the internal workings of the board is very similar on that vein, working on effective and efficient meetings. That's what I heard from a lot of people. So I want to work on enforcing time limits, bundling resolutions, pre-meeting summaries, all kinds of ways of improving the efficiency of our meetings. And as some of us heard, due to changes at the board staff level, the staff will no longer be allowed to be at committee meetings working on the technology. And so that will be a big challenge. So I commit to being at every single committee meeting myself, making sure everything works smoothly until we can design a system that works easily. I think we need to work on results over resolutions. So I want to focus the board on short, focus-driven task forces that achieve a goal. Make decisions in public with transparency is a big effort of mine to make sure that everyone feels included. And then bring back things like the mentoring system, which were very effective at building up new members to the board. Externally, I want us to be more visible. I talked to a lot of friends at the playground of kids, and they say, what is the community board? And so we need to change that. We need to be almost as visible as Gale Brewer. So maybe not that, but almost that level. And I think I want to empower all of us to think a little bit more creatively, to potentially use social media, press, empower everyone to be the public advocates for the resolutions we pass. And I want to focus on fixing the achievable problems, the news racks on the corner. Why does it take the bike corral in front of the McDonald's at 72nd so long to be installed? We need to focus on the small, meaningful things for the community. Lastly, life can throw you different curveballs. I think this summer I definitely had my share of health concerns, and it really reinforced for me like the time is now. I will focus on making sure CB7 is more visible, more effective, solving real world problems. And I would love to be proud of the work we do together. So vote for Alex.
Hello, fellow board members. I also would like to congratulate all of the nominees. We are a board together, and I think we all should be very proud. This is one of the most applied for community boards in Manhattan, if not the whole city. So the fact that any of us are board members is a really special thing. It means that we all bring special things, knowledge, experience to the board, and we have an embarrassment of riches here. When I think about the number of 50 members and the average age, we probably have a couple of thousand years of life experience here. I just entered into my sixth decade of life. And what does that mean? Well, it's life experience. It also means that as you get older, you see things from different perspectives. Not to be too corny, but I was thinking about Joni Mitchell's song, seeing from both sides now. I have experienced in life, in perspectives of life from the cradle to the grave. I lost my father a few years ago. My mother is elderly in this neighborhood. I am very hyper aware of things that the elderly are going through right now. Medicare, Medicaid, cuts to SNAP benefits, SCREE, DREE, you name it. Accessibility, mobility, affordability, everything that is happening. It's very important. And I'm afraid that we may have a bit of a silent minority in our neighborhood with our aging population. I am the longest serving member on this current executive committee, and that is not for bragging rights, but just to say that I've had the privilege to serve with other chairs, and different chairs have different styles and different things that are more or less effective. And I've learned a lot. I've also stepped in for the chair on numerous occasions at Borough Board. These are real responsibilities that I take very seriously. I'm very proud to say that I have very good relationships with our existing elected officials, community-based organizations, and some of our city officials. I'm proud of that, not for me, but I think it really works well for you, because I know that I have great respect for our elected officials. I believe they respect me, and I think I can use that to leverage issues that we have on behalf of the whole board and the community at large. You know, when I vote for a candidate for anything, whether it's president of the United States or a community board or anything else, I have my own personal barometer. And that barometer is, can I sleep at night knowing that that person is at the helm? You know, and I think about some presidents we've had and some restless nights that I, well, currently have, and other nights that I slept like a baby when other people were in office. But I want you to know that I take this job and responsibility very seriously, both from a fiduciary responsibility, ethical responsibility, and accuracy. So I submit to you that you will be able to sleep well at night if I am presenting at Borough Board or anywhere else, that I will represent you with professionalism and integrity. You know, democracy is under attack right now. And you know, there's reports out of Chicago tonight. There's horrible things happening. But what can we do in our little microcosm of Community Board 7? Well, certainly we're going to be able to, you know, stand with our elected officials, federally, state, and hold the line the best we can. But I also think what we actually need to do is preserve our democracy itself within the board. And what does that mean? That means actually, you know, as corny as it may sound, team together, everyone achieves more. The fact is that I do believe that the group conscience, if it's truly informed, is usually better than any individuals. And so to that, we need to listen more to each other. We need to really, really fundamentally listen to all the people that we have on this board. As I mentioned earlier, we have an embarrassment of riches. I'll just say that we got to put the community back in community board. We need to do a better job at outreaching, and that's shoe leather, that's digital, that's analog, that's all of it. And that's tabling. We need to be very proactive. That's what I do in my job renting stores. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I specialize in retail. Things don't get rented by putting up signs just anymore. It's very proactive, and that's what we need to do. In my work as a commercial real estate broker, I am sort of perfectly positioned in between landlords and tenants. In fact, I represent landlords and tenants pretty equally. So I don't feel beholden to any one group, but my job is to negotiate a final deal. What is a good deal? Well, a good deal is usually, as the adage says, 30 seconds, is basically where everyone is equally happy or equally unhappy. That's what we do when we're making resolutions. We're doing, you know, some horse trading, but hopefully at the end, we distill a good resolution that's best informed. Last but not least, I'll say that my former career was as a comedian. I love laughter and sense of humor. It's very important. Comedy was under attack recently with our democracy, but it's not just for humor alone. It's not just freedom of speech. It's the fact that when people feel at ease and are happier, they feel more compelled to share. And I think that that's a safer, more productive place. So I would submit that we should have some more fun too, as we're all volunteers. Thank you.
Now that I think the nominated for the chair questions, so
Yeah.
for online purposes, I guess. Okay, we can entertain some questions. So for those who are in the room from the board first, any questions of the chair candidates? Jay?
I actually have two questions, one for all three candidates and one for a particular candidate. So for all three candidates, I've been on the board for many years. And one thing I've noted in the last few years, in the context of being aware that we have some limitations that have been imposed on us since COVID, including venues, time limitations at the venues, et cetera. But I felt for a long time that there's been a diminution of collegial discussion and back and forth, and that there's been too much of an emphasis on limitations in dialogue between members. I know that there are, as I said, constraints, but I'd like to hear what each of you, if you agree that that's the case, and if you do, what ideas you might have to do something about it.
So maybe we'll ask in reverse order of the speeches. So Doug, Alex, and then Natasha. Natasha, do you want to come up?
Everyone come on. Sure. Should we have- In reverse order? Oh, okay, got it. You know, I'm not exactly sure. You said a lot there. It's a lot's packed in, right? So there is a balance between running efficiently, but then also making sure that everybody is heard and not artificially stifling a meeting or shutting it down. So I mean, I really think that we have to strike a balance. I'm very much in favor of being efficient. But I'm not exactly sure. I mean, you didn't actually ask a final question. You sort of made some statements. So I'm not exactly, can you sum up a question and I'll answer it?
Well, first of all, I asked if you agree with me that there's been a diminution of robust dialogue the last few years. If you don't agree, so be it. But if you do agree, I'm wondering if you or your fellow candidates have some idea of how we might, considering the overall circumstances, improve on that.
Yeah. Well, it's very committee specific. And I want to encourage robust debate and discussions efficiently. So I agree that in some cases it's been condensed but in other cases it hasn't. So maybe it's a question of balancing all the committees so that they all are heard. So I agree with you, but I don't agree with you in totality. I think we have had some very robust decisions, and in other times I've felt things were abbreviated, if that's fair.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that it has been diminished. In person is much more valuable than anything remote. And we need to make the parts of the meeting that are less important, more shorter and more efficient, so we can give more time to the conversation, because that's the most important part. So specifically, sometimes we spend too long on questions that were answered better at committee or could have been presented, and that doesn't give us the time to have the robust conversation. So totally agree. We have to make some parts more efficient to have more robust conversations.
I'm sure many of you remember a time when our in-person meetings used to last till like 10:30 p.m. or something. I'm very grateful that that time is gone. I don't think anybody has the stamina for that. And I would agree that having robust discussions during committee meetings is much more preferred. But there's also a saying out there, something like, what you can say in a much shorter time is much better than, giving a very long answer to any question. So we try, at least in our committee, to give a lot of context about our upcoming meetings, a lot of background, links to materials that people can refer back to, and hopefully come to the committee meetings more prepared. I would encourage people to do that more. And then certain parts of the full board meeting that are not as important, like hearing from elected officials. So maybe those could be abbreviated a little bit. But we have to be more efficient, because sometimes it's really not even up to us. It's up to the venue, which has certain restrictions, like we have to be out of here at 9:30 tonight. So we have to not have a robust discussion about this question anymore. Was there another?
I guess, are there other questions? I'd like to make sure everyone gets around to ask their questions first, then we'll get back to you for your second question.
I've asked this before. It's not a community board operational question. It's just a question to see how you think on your feet and you respond to a question that may be a bit controversial. I'd like to know each person's go-to bagel spot.
This is controversial, but I will say pop-up. Mainly because I don't really like bagels, but it's very close to where I live. And other people in my home like it, so I like it.
It's sad because last time it was absolute bagels, and now I can't say that. And I feel very sad. I've been eating a lot of tall bagels. I don't know. I'm not super happy, but you know, I don't know what else to do. So tall bagels.
Well, I'm just gonna say it's ore washers, and if you hadn't seen this, Tony Shalhoub's bread special, they're featured on it, and I encourage you to watch it.
My question is not as entertaining, Andrew. And at the risk of, Natasha, I'm mindful of your out time note. But very quickly from each candidate, if I might, Elizabeth and Kay and Daria. Could you briefly each talk about your thoughts on co-committee work, collaborations between committees, how productive you feel that is, whether you would encourage that, and what your thoughts are about how fruitful it's been in your observation in the past?
Yeah, definitely suggest that we have more of co-committee work where applicable. Sometimes I've noticed there's a tension that arises sometimes about this is my scope of my committee versus the scope of this committee. I'm not sure why that tension arises. I think we should poke more at that because there should be no worry about the scope of one committee versus another. But I definitely have examples where, especially with transportation, where we've done co-committee work and it's been very fruitful. So we should encourage it.
Yeah, sometimes co-committee work is unavoidable. And I found that the most effective strategy is for the co-chairs to meet in advance. Usually it only takes like a 10 to 20-minute phone call or Zoom call to go over the parameters, and then maybe some questions about territory can be, over there, they can be alleviated. But there was one situation in which we as co-chairs did not meet before our joint meeting with the co-chairs of the other meetings. And in retrospect, we really, it could have been a more productive experience if we had. So that would be my advice to anyone looking for more co-committee work.
Yeah, I'm in favor of co-committees, and it's hard to pinhole, any one subject matter with the finite number of committees we have. I think we've done a good job. We could do better. Remember when the responsibility for outdoor dining was shifted to the Department of Transportation, and then it fell into the Transportation Committee versus BCI. But I think we handled that pretty well. Yeah, there's some territorial issues, but I do think that we made some accommodations for having a quorum, so it makes it a little easier because there's a host committee and sort of a secondary committee. But I think it's very important as issues come up, and there'll always be new issues, and we may end up forming new committees, or we've merged other committees like land use and housing, and it used to be separate committees. So I think they're important, and there's going to be more of them. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentations. My question is, what are your goals for civic and community engagement as the chairperson for the year? If you could please expound. Thank you.
So I mentioned being proactive. Obviously we have our website and things like that. That's reactive and static. So we need to go out into the community. That's physically. That would be tabling at street fairs. That would be actively engaging with community-based organizations and really asking what they need, where they are. And a lot of it is just physical shoe leather. It's getting out and listening. And it's also utilizing all 50 board members to be our ears and eyes, to bring it to the attention of their respective committees and co-chairs and executives and steering. So we really need to be bringing up issues. These are obviously issues that we're either going to be in favor of or oppose or create something brand new. So I think, as I said, even in my real estate practice, we don't lease stores by putting up a sign anymore. It's very outbound in every way. I travel to try to get tenants to come to a space. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, similar to Doug, we have to be proactive. One of the things I was talking about with Elizabeth is we used to have robust public attendance at meetings. That has definitely decreased both online and in person. So tracking metrics like that, how many people are coming, is very important. I was talking about being as visible as Gale Brewer, but I mean, literally any event you show up at in the Upper West Side, big or small, like there's a Gale Brewer table, she's there. We can mimic that. Yeah, she's here. She's here right now. And then, yeah, social media. Social media is something we've tried with some success, with some, we can't give up, right? We have to find some way of making social media work for us as well. It's going to take some trial and error, and everyone has to be a part of that solution who is interested.
Yeah, clearly our outreach has to be better, and it has to be more proactive than reactive. So there are things that my two colleagues have said that I would like to pick up on. But, one thing is clear that, these tabling events or all this shoe leather outreach, it is very time intensive, and we are a volunteer board. So the only way that it's going to work is if all 50 of us commit to take on a little bit of the load at all times. It's not going to work if like 20% of us are doing like 80% of the work. So everybody has to buy into that. Also, social media, I'm not an expert on that, but to Alex's point, we have to get it to work for us, and there will be some trial and error involved in that.
Hi, what is the president's role in onboarding or orienting new members? Yes, yes.
I will go Natasha first, then
When I joined, I was assigned a buddy. This was before COVID, and I found that to be helpful. I think having a buddy and then just doing, a brief call or a coffee with them, maybe even a brief call or coffee with the chair would be very helpful. I think what's also helpful, but this is like before the candidate is actually appointed to the board, is to really encourage people who are interested in serving on the community board to attend at least a couple of our meetings, either on Zoom or in person, because a lot of people just don't realize, like coming here at 6:30 in the evening, regardless of what stage of life you're at, it can be very hard, and you have to really know what you're getting into. So I think if you've had a couple of those experiences, that onboarding can be easier, and a buddy system, I think, would be helpful.
Yeah, I think in general, the chair is responsible for lots of operations of the board. So encouraging these things like we talked about, the buddy system, other ways of, having new members join and ramp up, as well as when you first meet the chair and start thinking about what committee to be on, that's a great opportunity to steer people towards areas of interest and make sure there are availabilities and openness on the committees. Some of our committees, unfortunately, get very locked down. They're all full for many years. And that very puts off a lot of new people. It's very difficult to want to work on something. So I think a chair also has to figure out how to welcome people and get them engaged as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, as far as appointments, obviously the chair and the board really don't have a particular say. That is the elected official, the borough presidency council, maybe with some recommendations. Look, we've done some really cool things over the years. We have a member handbook that we should probably also utilize more. The buddy system, mentoring, I think is really important. We've also now implemented public members. because many of us, including myself, are term limited, and we will be losing a pretty significant number of board members within the next couple of years. So it's extremely important to cultivate and encourage your friends and neighbors to attend, at a minimum to attend, to become more involved, but also obviously if they really feel impassioned. The way I joined is that I used to attend a lot of meetings, and eventually on my third try, I was appointed. Thanks.
Just exercise, this is with my former chair hat on. I'm going to do a scenario, and I'd like to ask each of the candidates to describe in ideally 30 seconds or less. Daria, I don't know if you can help time with this. So the scenario is you are running a full board meeting, and a very, very contentious issue has been put on the agenda. Could be a bike lane, could be a major development project, could be, in my case, it was something, the Museum of Natural History renovation, and you have people in the room is completely packed, like completely packed. There is no air conditioning in the room because the air conditioning broke down. People are getting upset. It's sort of chaotic. The board staff is working on all cylinders to make sure the technology is working. You've got hybrid going on, people from the community there, people from the community in meeting. And the group, there's a very vociferous group of people who are coming to express their opinion on one side of the issue. How would you run the meeting and the Q&A session in particular so that the board achieves a sort of effective outcome for the community? Kay, do you want to call on who should answer in which order?
Yeah.
Just 30 seconds, how you would deal with that in the moment when. Oh, there's no time to really.
So I would definitely make use of Google Forms in advance and try to get Q&A questions from the community and feedback from the community in advance. And usually I've noticed that certain themes sort of come up no matter how controversial the issue is, and you can boil down a lot of the questions down to a couple of themes and sort of address them in advance. People should obviously sign up in ahead of time to speak, and just take it from there. And yeah, very, very strict time limits on speaking, and everyone should be able to speak first once before. Yes. Sorry.
Yes, I think I was leading a meeting a few months ago that had just this dynamic. Google Forms beforehand, try to alternate between people opposing or for the issue. You really want to make sure that everyone feels there's no bias, there's no undue influence of everyone. So it's very tricky. And, if it gets very heated, what we did was pause, take a few people to the side, describe what the process is, try to restart the meeting, but make sure everyone feels heard.
My answer is very simple. I just canceled the meeting. No, that's not true. Setting rules, boundaries, and repetition. You have to set up front in the meeting what is acceptable. We're going to have decorum, and we're going to be respectful. And if someone is not respectful, they have to be called out. And they may even be asked to leave. We hope that never happens. But I think repetition and setting boundaries is really important. I do also agree with what my other colleagues said. The Google Forms also, I've been to many of those contentious meetings years ago, and it's really taking a breath, being calm, and setting an example for the rest. If people are behaving poorly, they have to be called out and they have to be stopped.
Elizabeth, just need to point out that
Understood.
we are running very late.
Yep, we're moving along. Okay, you're past, okay.
Well, my
This is the
question-
time, this is
My
the.
question was
yeah.
personal to one candidate, and I
If you
decided.
can ask it quickly
I
as a
didn't know.
question, nope,
I
okay.
decided not.
Okay, so I think that wraps up the chairs section. We're gonna move to vice chair now in their speeches. Kay, we need your hat. Or actually, I can just. Okay, just so we're doing this fair and square. Okay, first speaker is going to be Richard and then Polly. So Richard, you are Richard is virtual.
I'm on?
Yep.
Good evening. I hope to not to take 5 minutes. I just want to thank, I am honored to have been nominated for this job, and I hope that I have the privilege of serving in this capacity. I'm a lifelong New Yorker and almost a lifelong member of Community Board 7. I think I was appointed several decades ago. I've served as chair for most of that time of the Land Use Committee and conducted literally hundreds of meetings, both in the venue of the board and in larger venues where we've had very contentious meetings that I think, managed. I grew up in the parks of New York, playing in the parks, playing with my children in the parks, riding bikes, and doing everything that a West Sider New Yorker would do. By the way, my favorite bagel store, I wish I could say Zabar's, but my favorite bagel store is the one at 86th and Broadway, a kosher store that has big, huge bagels, in case anybody asks. I have a number of things that I would like to focus on in my capacity as vice chair. First and foremost, I think the role of the executive committee may have expanded a little bit over the last several years. I think resolutions should come out of the executive committee as board resolutions only when it's absolutely necessary. That is, when there will be no no board meeting between the executive committee meeting and the time the resolution is due. I think that the relationship of the board with the district manager is critical. And I heard tonight and before tonight that Max has complained that he was burned out and that he is working inordinate numbers of hours. It would be good management, best practices for the executive committee or subcommittee of the executive committee to meet periodically and maybe once every 2 weeks with Max, try to refine his job, try to find out what can be done to lessen his burden and make him thereby more efficient, and hopefully that he won't leave in 2 years. I believe that I believe in task forces, and I believe in cross-committee meetings. There are a lot of things that the Land Use Committee did that required the input of other committees, and I thought the process has worked well. Within committee meetings, and by the way, I think it's the job of everyone on the executive committee to attend as many committee meetings as possible. Within committees, I think it's important for the chairs to assign particular tasks to non-chairs to focus on because the chairs just can't do everything. I think that in general terms, we are the eyes and ears of the community board, and I think it's very important to reach out to community organizations prospectively and even without any resolution in sight, just to get a sense or continue to get a sense of what the community needs. I think on the other side of the process, I think it's important for the board to act as advocates for our resolutions. Frequently, we just pass a resolution and that's it. We need to be advocates with the borough board and the borough president, reach out to other boards and make sure that our voice is actually heard both in Manhattan and in Albany. I think I have the experience to I have experience not only in land use but also in social services issues, and I've chaired 2 very large social services organizations that perform after-school work with families and children. I also formed a public school many years ago that's still active. I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve this board that I love. And I thank you for listening to me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Polly Spain, for those of you who don't know me, and honored to have been nominated to serve as the Vice Chair of Community Board 7. I've been a member of Community Board 7 since 2014. And in my tenure as a member of this board, I've served in many, many capacities. I've served as the first vice chair, second vice chair, co-chair of several committees, Public Safety Committee, also a task force, which was a public safety task force before it became a committee. And then also I co-chaired a task force for environmental impact study for our community. And I've also served in Parks and Environment Committee, the Housing Committee, and also the YEL Committee. And so I like to speak to some of the work that I've done during my tenure. So one of my first experiences was as the co-chair of the Housing Committee, where I challenged a developer of Riverside South who wanted to charge families who lived in the affordable units that were going to be developed an amenity fee. And I felt that since they were being used as liability for them to get a loan of $650 million, I didn't think it was fair, if you're going to use them as collateral, to also charge them an amenity fee. So I definitely went down to the State Housing Finance, along with the chair at that time. And I said that, you know, this is not right. So I'm happy to say that that was paused. The pin was put in on it. And then also next, as vice chair, I felt that, you know, it was very important for us to engage the community. So I went and got my certification with Manhattan Neighborhood Network, so that this way we could launch a program called Community Board 7 Speaks. So I felt that this way we would have an opportunity for all of our committees to work together to showcase the work that they do, because we have so many talented people on our board. And I felt that, you know, we could learn from them, the public would be engaged, and we have an opportunity to show the public what we do. Unfortunately, COVID set in, so we had to again put a pause on that as well. I'm happy to say that I was the co-chair of a working group with the environmental group within the Parks Committee, and my colleagues and I developed an awesome report to demonstrate the impact that the environment was having in our community. That report, I believe, is still online if you want to look at it, but it had to do with environmental justice. And we found out that there were food disparities in our community. There were other issues going on that we felt were very much important for the public to be aware of. So I asked you to take a look at the report if it's still there, so you can learn. I feel also, since I've been on the board, that it is important for us to do more work, because I myself am out there talking to people. My background is a special education teacher. I also have served as a UFC delegate. I've also served as a judicial delegate, county committee member. I've also sat on the board of the PSA 6, which is a community council that serves in partnership with NYPD to help individuals with public safety issues. So I feel that my background in education, public safety, and other areas has helped me to make the right decisions when it comes to helping our community. So I feel moving forward, we as a board definitely should do more outreach and tabling at different events, because again, when I'm out there petitioning or talking to people, they're like, where's the community board? What did you do? A lot of people are not even aware that we exist. So I think we could do better with that. So if I'm elected as vice chair, I would like for us to do more work in that arena. One of the ideas I came up with is for us to create a podcast, because we have people who know how to do technology. We have people who have done broadcasting, news reporting, et cetera. I feel that all the committees have something to contribute, and I feel that everyone should have an opportunity to do that. And not only just at meetings, because a lot of times the public only gets 1 minute to speak. I don't think that's enough time. I think that if we had a platform, that would help, you know, for us to really get a gauge on what's going on in our committee. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So in closing, I feel that it's important as a vice chair to support the committees and the chair, of course, to be available when the chair is not available, to stand down when you have to. But really, again, I don't want to repeat what everybody else said, but I'm about serving. And I hope that you elect me as vice chair. Thank you.
Of the vice chair candidate. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, so we can move on to the treasurer candidate, Henry.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Reevy. Many of you know me. For those of you who don't know me, I am a native New Yorker, 5th generation. I actually grew up on 98th Street between Lexington and 3rd Avenue in NYCHA. I'm also a 1st generation college graduate and the only one in my family to actually obtain a degree from an Ivy League school. So community has always been in my blood. I started serving in the community since I was a teenager. And the reason I'm here is because of Will Ortiz, who was my former neighbor who told me about CB7 and got appointed by Mark Levine on the first try. And I was here for about 3 months and I get a call from Beverly. And Beverly asked me to chair YEL. And I said, I'm surprised because I've only been on the board a few months, but I decided to take the challenge. And I, along with Kristen Berger, chaired that committee for a year and then decided to run for treasurer. Actually, it was a year ago, I decided to run for treasurer and I made 2 promises. The first promise was financial transparency. The second promise was fiscal discipline. And as you all know, I delivered on both. We came in $10,000 under budget for fiscal 25. Also, third accomplishment, we got more money for fiscal 26. We got a 10% increase from in our budget, including the monies from Gale Brewer. Thank you, Gale, for the contribution. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to serve.
All right, okay, so thank you, Kevin. We will now move on to our co-secretary candidate, and Michael. Michael's gonna go.
Sorry. There we go.
It looks like Michael's going.
Just for sake of brevity, since I'm running unopposed, I will not go into a long spiel. So I'll give back my time. I hope this is not misconstrued as a lack of commitment. But I've been doing it for a while, so hopefully that's enough. Thanks, everyone.
I'll take just 5 seconds because I'm a little newer to it than Michael. I also want to yield most of my time because we are a little pressed. I've been on the board not very long. I'm excited to have joined the executive committee. I've been a co-secretary for a little bit, learning from Michael how things are done, and would appreciate the opportunity to do this for another year. Thank you.
Okay, one more draw. This is for our tech and communications head.
No, you're not on mic.
What?
You're not on mic. Just so you know.
Oh. Okay, last, this is for the tech and communications role. We have 2 candidates for 1 role. And the first speaker will be Nandita, followed by William Ortiz. So, Nandita, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me? Thumbs up. I just see an empty microphone. All right, Daria, I see a thumbs up from you. Thank you so much. So hi, everyone. I'm Nandita Venkatesan, and I'm running for Technology Communications Chair. I just want to begin by thanking everyone for your flexibility. I'm actually Zooming from the future. I'm Zooming from India at 4 a.m. tomorrow. So I think that the fact that I can be here today just speaks to the importance of investing in technology and communication tools and allowing us to be involved in these kinds of proceedings. In terms of technology communication, I think there are 3 key things that are really important. The first is that board members should feel confident and empowered with using technology, like using Zoom, using Google Drive. The second is that there should be clear and concise communication between board members and between the community board and the community. And the third is that we should be up to date with technology events and news so that we can vote intelligently and make informed voting decisions on resolutions that come in front of us. And I'm running for this role because I have the technology background and the communication skills to really make these 3 goals a reality. So coming into me, I'm a bit newer to this board than most of the people. I joined earlier this year, and I've been in the Upper West Side since 2023, April. But I did my bachelor's in computer engineering from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign in 2016. I've worked at Northern Trust in Chicago. I worked at Fidelity in Boston, and then Walleye Capital, both in Boston and New York City, as a senior engineer. So I have a strong technology background, familiar with a number of tools, and I'm familiar building a number of things. In addition to that, I've done leadership courses through Common Purpose in both Chicago and Boston, where I learned how to communicate with people who have different levels of awareness in a topic and how to kind of bridge that gap and bridge that disparity as well. So combining these 2 skills, I'm in a strong position to really improve our tech literacy as a board and our ability to use these tools to effectively communicate. As I mentioned in my candidate statement, there's 3 targeted initiatives that I'm really focused on. The first is having monthly tech office hours before the full board meeting to address any tech issues people have. I think when it comes to tech literacy, it means different things for different people. Someone might know how to build Instagram, but they don't know how to go viral on it and get 1 million followers. Someone knows how to go viral and get 1 million followers, but they don't know how to build it. And so in terms of tech literacy for our board, my goal is that this time next year, 100% of our board members feel confident uploading resolutions to Google Drive, seeing other committees' resolutions, and then running Zoom meetings themselves. And so with a standing office hour, people don't need to feel self-conscious about asking questions. You're not going to bother me by asking me the same question you've asked 15 times before. This is a standing hour. You can ask the same question you asked before, and it's a way to kind of iron out some of these tech issues people have before we get into the full meeting itself. The second is to make full board meetings more efficient by using tools we already have. So Zoom has the ability to generate meeting minutes and high-level automated meeting summaries. And so the advantage of that is if we have these meeting summaries from committee meetings, when you're going to the full board, other members who weren't in that committee have an understanding of what discussions happened in that committee meeting around this resolution. So whenever we have conversations in the full board meeting, they're a bit more they're not rehashing things we already talked about in committee. It's a bit more of a wider conversation, a wider discussion. And the discussions that we have tend to be more fruitful, and there's less frustration around, oh, we've already discussed this, you know. The third, and this is kind of an aspirational goal, I would really love to use AI at some point to either simplify our budget and district needs statements or to improve our efficiency as a board. You know, there are pros and cons to AI, but as a board, one thing we can't be is ignorant of what it is. And I think, you know, if we ever need to vote on a resolution about the usage of AI in our community or how the city is using it, we have to know what it is, how it works, what it can do, and what limitations it has. I think there are a couple of good use cases for it that we can kind of explore. The first is with simplifying our budget and district needs process. I think that tends to be a very paperwork heavy, bureaucratic process for people. And so if we can use AI to simplify that, that would be a really interesting experience for people to look through. And the other is to look at, you know, we have our top 3 district needs. The top one is food insecurity. We can look at our past full board meetings and see category by category, how much time are we spending on different topics? And if we're not spending time talking about food insecurity, if we're spending time talking about e-bikes, we need to address that disparity, right? We shouldn't be saying our number one priority is food insecurity, but 80% of our time is going to discussions on e-bike usage in Central Park. So all of which is to say, I'm really excited to be nominated. I think this is an incredible group of people, and I've really enjoyed, being part of all the discussions so far. And while I know I'm relatively new to the board, I think I bring a lot of enthusiasm and also patience, which I think is a good combination to have for someone who is applying for technology communications officer. And I'm happy to answer any questions people have. So thank you very much.
Time is up. Great. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is William Ortiz. I'm a proud, lifelong Upper West Sider. This is where I was born. This is where I was raised. This is where I have my lifelong friends and where my wife and I are raising our family to this day. The Upper West Side means everything to me. It's also been an honor serving Manhattan Community Board 7 for the past 6 years. Over the years, I've been lucky to have had some opportunities here. I've been co-chair of the Public Safety Committee, Public Safety Task Force, and Health and Human Services. In addition, I sat on many of the committees here: Transportation, BCI, Parks, Land Use, and even the Social Media Task Force. And through all that work, I've seen how much our community values staying connected, being heard, and having the tools to participate fully. Now, professionally, I oversee technology and communication systems for the New York City Business Solutions Center at Lower Manhattan, part of New York SBS, where I help small businesses and community organizations use technology to work smarter and not harder. Before that, I spent 20 years at Apple, leading projects, building teams, helping people feel more confident in the tools they use every day. In addition, I hold a bachelor's degree from City College with a BA in political science, and I got my master's degree just 2 blocks away, my MBA at Fordham University. If elected as Technology and Communications Officer, my goal is simple. It's to make technology work for us and not overwhelm us. I know technology can feel intimidating, and I want to be absolutely clear that there will be no sudden or complicated changes. Nothing about what makes this board special will be lost. Technology should never replace the personal touch that defines how we work, but to simply make what we already do a little easier, smoother, and more accessible. I still believe wholeheartedly in the power of meeting in person, the conversations that happen before and after a meeting, the trust we build face-to-face, the sense of community that can't be replicated on a screen. Those moments matter. And what I'm proposing isn't moving away from that, but is a way to support it, to take away the small frustrations, the missed email, the hard to find documents, the confusions over links and logins, so that we can focus on what really matters more: the discussion, the decisions, and the people in this community. In short, my vision for this role is about balance, keeping a human connection at the center of everything we do while using technology quietly in the background as a tool that supports our work and never as a burden that complicates it. So my approach is building 4 key priorities. Operations, so offering a friendly, no pressure technology check-in to make sure everyone's devices are working smoothly and comfortable. An assessment of what you have and how it can be supportive. A process, so establishing a technology task force or working group to quietly maintain and improve our systems. Providing dependable behind-the-scenes support for all members of the community. I think outreach is important too, as our candidates talked about today. But I think partnering with Upper West Side High School's STEM students, and even with NYIT, which is a university right here, to help with projects, strengthen our marketing, and give young people hands-on experience in civic tech. And lastly, reporting, providing clear bi-monthly updates so all members stay informed and comfortable with new developments that we have. I believe that my combination of community service, my professional experience, and my commitment will help CB7 communicate more clearly and use technology more effectively and remain deeply connected to the neighborhood that we love. So I hope to have your vote. I'm excited to collaborate with the executive committee and all board members, ready to go full steam running ahead. I thank you for your time, your trust, and the work each of you do every day in our community together. Thank you.
Being none, no questions online.
I think we are now ready to begin.
Elizabeth, you need a mic.
Sorry, I think we're now, there's no questions from the online folks. Okay. So I think we're now ready
Sorry,
to
real quick.
begin. Yes. Nagita?
I saw a question. Yes, I saw a question earlier in the on the online Q&A that talked about how candidates work to improve online experience inclusion. Is that from a board member or from a like audience?
Question, is anyone, whoever's monitoring the Zoom, was that a question for this office? Candidates? No. Okay.
Yeah, it isn't. No, and I answered it already for them.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry about that. Thank you
That's
though.
Okay, great. Seeing no other questions, I think we're ready to start the voting process, which Michael is going to help me with just in terms of the first office. I think we want to put on the screen the listing of all of the candidates for each office. Do we have that, Alex and Jesse? Thank you. All right, so you can see on the screen the full names of all of the candidates for all the offices you just heard from. We're going to begin with the chair office. You're going to vote with your phones for, I guess we can maybe zoom in on it a little bit.
No, just the first name.
You're going to vote for the first name of the chair candidate. So we have not started anything yet. I'm just going to read the first names. There is Alex Bell, so Alex, Natasha Cosme, Natasha, or Doug Kleinman, Doug. So you're going to vote just like you would vote yes or no or abstain for a resolution. You're going to vote for the first name of the chair candidate of your selection for chair. Okay? Alex, Natasha, Doug. Okay? When voting opens. Okay? Yeah. And
Yeah, so just a couple quick notes. I'm going to excuse myself slightly so that people can't see my screen. If you do not submit the name properly, so capitalization does not matter, but it needs to be spelled correctly, just the spelling of the first name only. If you do not have the name spelled correctly, you will get a message that says that your vote was not recorded. So pay attention to your phone for a reply. And then I'm going to take this microphone in the back so that you may just hear me, but you won't see me. So just so everyone knows, I'm going to step aside.
so I believe, Michael, is the voting open now?
Not yet. Just give me 1 second. I'll let everyone know when we're ready to start.
Any questions? Does everyone know the correct spelling of the three chair candidates, their first names? Okay. Again, we want to try to make this perfect for everyone on the first round. Hopefully it'll work well. Michael, let me know when you're ready.
Voting is now open. Please let me know if there are any issues, or please let the election committee know. Excuse me.
We're going to give 1 minute for each round. So we're close to the 1 minute mark. If you haven't voted already, please do so. We're about to close the voting. Those of you who are online, we're about to close the voting. And the voting is now closed for chair. Okay, we're going to move on to the next category, which is vice chair. You will vote for one, either Richard Asche or Polly Spain. So you will vote either Richard or Polly. And
Okay.
Michael, give a hands up when you're ready.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Okay. Is everyone ready to go for the next round? Okay, so is everyone ready for the next round? And then Michael's going to give us the go ahead. Thanks, everyone.
You can now start voting.
Okay. I have 1 minute. Okay. 5 seconds. All righty, the voting for vice chair is now closed. And we'll move on to the highly contested vote for treasurer. Remember, we need to get our 23 votes, so let's all vote for this one. Make sure you vote. For treasurer, the choice is Kevin Reevy. Kevin will be your vote. Voting begins now.
Hold on. Okay, you can start now.
Okay. 1 minute.
It takes a second.
I think he's fixing.
So it's Kevin Reevy. Again, the first name is Kevin. Treasurer. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, we're at time. The vote's closed for treasurer. And as soon as Michael gives us a heads up, we'll move on to the co-secretary A and B. We have to do this separately, so you'll be voting for 2 candidates, 1 for each co-secretary effectively. Yeah, you have a question? Holly, yeah.
Yeah, since the screen is not up.
Yes. So, Kay, do you want to bring me that sheet so we have the? Okay, just in the interest of time, since these races, the next 2 races are uncontested, the next vote will be for what is called co-secretary A. We delineated this so that the vote could be taken for each. There is no difference between co-secretary A and co-secretary B. So co-secretary A will be a vote for one of the secretaries, co-secretary B for the second secretary. Michael Molinari is listed as co-secretary A, so your next vote will be for co-secretary A. So simply, if you would like to vote for one of the 2 co-secretaries, you can vote for Michael and text Michael next.
And we're now live.
Yeah. So if you could scroll down to co-secretary A. Alex, yeah.
Voting is open.
Alex, could you just scroll up so that they can see co-secretary A?
I might lose to myself.
Okay.
Quick stuff.
I was thinking, I'm glad I lost.
Telling you, I might lose.
Is everyone voting? We're going to give you 5 more seconds and then move on. All right. Voting is closed for co-secretary A. And when Michael gives the heads up, we'll move to co-secretary B.
We can start voting for B.
Okay. Co-secretary B is Igor Shakhnovsky. A vote is for Igor. Igor with an E.
And it auto corrects.
I know.
For a lot of correct.
Yeah. Battling the technology. Yeah, it's auto correcting. It's a spell check. I knew this happens all the time. I should have legally changed my name just for today.
I'll vote for anything. You just read
You just ego.
Ego.
Like, Tony Brevots.
Yeah.
He got an Emmy, Grammy, Everything. Oscar, Joan.
Okay, we're about to close the voting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, voting is closed for Co-Secretary B. And now we're going to move to the final election, which is for Technology and Communications Officer. This will be between William Ortiz and Nandita Venkatasan, is that right? Nandita, did I butcher that?
It's Venkatasan.
Venkatasan, okay.
Yes.
William or
My name,
Nandita,
sorry,
okay?
sorry, my name does autocorrect as well to bandits. So if it does, try
Okay,
not to vote for
they'll see it.
bandits.
Okay, well, let's keep the, yeah, let's, William or Nandita, okay?
Okay,
Michael's gonna-
voting is now open.
Open. Yep. It is open. Okay, we're wrapping up in 5 seconds. All right. Voting is closed and we will be back with results of the first round of voting shortly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I worry we disenfranchised.
We will have to bear with the suspense. I'd like to call on our very patient elected officials. Congressman, would you like to come forth and give us a few remarks?
Yes, thank you very much. This brings out nostalgia. My first office I held when I was 19 years old was a member of Community Board 7. I went on to be elected district leader in 1969, member of the Assembly in 76, and to Congress in 1992. Let me say where we are. We are in a government shutdown, as you know. The president is breaking the law 6 ways from Sunday. The debate really is that the Republican big beautiful bill, which we call the big ugly bill, will take $1 trillion from Medicaid, leaving 16 million people uninsured and leaving many hospitals and community health centers to close for lack of funding. Now, the Republicans won't extend ACA, Accountable Care Act from 19 tax credits. If they don't, premiums will go up by about 115%. This would mean a 60-year-old couple earning $80,000 would have a premium increase of $17,000. This is obviously not doable. Now, the Republicans are saying, well, give us a clean CR, a clean continuing resolution, then we'll discuss it. Well, they forget we already voted for a clean CR in March. You may recall that Chuck Schumer got a lot of criticism for that. We voted for a clean CR in March, which it's okay. We voted for a clean CR in March, and which expired a few days ago. And they want to do us again? Well, there's an old saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. We're not going to do that again. The president refused to negotiate. To make a deal, you have to have a 5-corner agreement. The two-party leaders, in the majority leader, the minority leader of the Senate, the speaker, and the minority leader of the House, and the president. The president refused to negotiate, wouldn't talk until the day before the CR ran out, a few days, what was it, a week and a half ago. And refused to talk, to say anything. And refused to commit, said, let's just do a clean CR again. Well, again, we can't do that. Now, in addition to that, the Trump administration is doing a lot of illegal things and is taking retribution against blue states. For example, they cut $18 billion from New York for the extension of the Second Avenue subway and for the Gateway Tunnel. Now, I take personal umbrage at that because I spent a lot of time and effort getting that funding. But the fact of the matter is that will kill about 150,000 good-paying jobs. It will threaten the livelihood of about 300,000 commuters. And if one of the tunnels should happen to fail, the economic impacts would be for the entire country. So that's what we're fighting about. We obviously can't agree to a clean CR, and we have to fight the canceling of that funding. Now, I don't think the president had any right to cancel the funding, but because it was appropriated. And the Anti-Impoundment Act of 1974, because Nixon tried to do the same thing, says if Congress appropriates money, you can't not spend it. Well, the president has been not spending all kinds of money. And the Directive Management and Budget said, well, you know, this shutdown is going to endanger the jobs of a lot of people. We're going to fire them. You have no authority to do that. Their positions were funded by Congress. You can withhold, and the law mandates that for most government employees it divides people into non-essential and essential. The president decides who's essential. Air traffic controllers are essential. They gotta be there. But whether they're essential or non-essential, they're supposed to get paid when the shutdown is over. The president announced a lot of them aren't going to get paid at all. And this is designed to bring more pressure on the Democrats, but the fact is, he has no authority to do that. So this president, in addition to all the other things he's doing, like with ICE and other things, declaring martial law, bringing in troops to cities and where the governor and the mayor say we don't need them. There's no riots going on, etc. But he's doing it anyway. All of this is illegal, and we will see whether the Supreme Court, and judges have declared much of this illegal. But what we've seen in a number of cases is what's known as the shadow docket has been used by the Supreme Court. The shadow docket is supposed to be used for emergencies until you can get the case argued. Normally, cases are argued from October 1st until February or something, and decisions are issued in June, the first week of July. But they're argued, they're briefed. The members of the court consider it and issue decisions and maybe dissents. The shadow docket is for an emergency. And what they've done on any number of occasions is they've used it much more than normal. And the shadow docket simply stays the opinions of the decisions of the lower court judges indefinitely. And we've seen that Justices Sotomayor and Kagan and Ketanji Brown have issued dissents from shadow docket cases. No one ever issues dissents from shadow docket cases until now. So the country is in a tough position. Where we're going to go, I don't know, but we have no choice. The Democrats, at least on the budget stuff, have no choice but to tough it out. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions? 1 second, we'll get a microphone. 1 second.
Yeah.
You've really, I think the people in this room know quite a bit about what you said. My question is, what is the Democratic Party doing, or can it do, to thwart this?
There are only two things it can do. And there's a lot of frustration. Democrats aren't doing enough. There are only two things we can do. One is bring lawsuits or sign on to amicus curiae briefs and lawsuits. And the other is to vote. We're in the minority in both houses, but we have leverage and hopefully to win the election next year. And if we win the election next year, and I think we have a very, very good shot at winning the, at least the House election. The Senate is more difficult because it's a difficult map. You know, the Senate is every 6 years, so only a third of it is elected, and happens to be in more Republican states. But if things get as bad as I think they will, we may even take the Senate too. And the House, I think, will take even with all the gerrymandering. And the reason I say that is this. The president was elected on one issue, basically. Well, on two issues, immigration and inflation. I will bring down inflation. What's he doing? Tariffs, huge tariffs. Tariffs are very inflationary. And mass deportations. Mass deportations are very inflationary because you're deporting people who are doing work and you kind of have to replace them with people who do the work for higher pay. So I think we're going to have very massive inflation. This is not good for the people. It's not good for the country. But I do think it will result in a Democratic victory in the election next year. And if it does, then we can cut the terror in half. Yeah.
What can we as a community board do to fight against what's happening in DC?
Frankly, I don't know there's anything a community board fight against.
We can at least try.
I mean, well, you can act as individual. I mean, you can pass resolutions. I don't know who will care about those resolutions. But there are no King's marches, and people's individuals can go. If the community board wants to help organize participation in that, they can do that, I suppose.
Congressman,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your service. I think we would all say that, and I greatly appreciate your optimism. My name is Jamie Floyd. I want to ask you about those I hear on the street, your constituents and ours, who, of course, understand the MAGA base is much to blame for what we're facing today, but are also beginning to blame our Democratic Party for the return of the empire. The empire strikes back. The failure to keep these people from retaking Washington, retaking Capitol Hill, retaking the White House, and how can we be so optimistic that we can recapture Capitol Hill in 2026 if we fail to stop these people from storming back to power? Thank you, Congressman.
Well, I don't think, I think 2024 and 2026, as all elections, are different. 2024, you had a visibly declining president, and 107 days for Kamala Harris to mount the campaign, which he had no, by surprise, in effect. And you had issues for them, inflation. 2026 is going to be exactly the opposite. You're going to have, first of all, I think that, I don't know how publicly obvious this is, but I think that our president, our current president, is suffering some real cognitive decline. Whether that'll be obvious to the people or not, I don't know. But for precisely the reasons I said, it's a very different election than 2024. Things are going to be quite bad, I think. I hope not, but I think they will, for the reasons I said before, the inflation, basically. And I think we'll win at least the House and maybe the Senate.
Respectfully, Congressman, Trump and anti-Trump, that's not a platform. What will our platform be in 2026?
Our basic platform in 2026 will be to protect healthcare. I think that's the main thing, because the threat to Americans' healthcare is now and will be front and center. And that's the main messaging. There'll be a lot of subsidiary messaging, but that's the main messaging. If you want to be able to afford healthcare, if you don't want more hospitals to close, you know, when hospitals close, it's already starting to happen. Hospitals and community health centers close, not so much in New York City, but elsewhere. If your hospital is 5 miles away closes, and you have to go to a hospital that's 75 miles away, you could die on the way. And that's what's starting to happen. And I don't like it, but it's going to happen more and more. And I think people are going to react against it.
Thank you, Congressman. We have lots of work to do tonight, but we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your coming here in first. We need to hear from our elections committee on the progress they've made on the election tabulations.
We have one announcement and then one quick announcement. We want to congratulate our first round of winners, which are our treasurer, Kevin Reeby, our co-secretaries, Michael Molinari and Igor Shadnatsky, and our new technology and communications officer, Nandita. We did not reach a 23 vote majority for either chair or vice chair. So we are going to ask people to vote in a second round. We're going to do this the same way we did it for the first round. We're going to start with chair. Again, if we could ask the staff to pull up the screen if possible with the list of candidates. Yeah, the two candidates who you'll be voting for chair will be between Alex Bell and Doug Kleiman. The vice chair candidates will be between Richard Asche and Polly Spain.
Yeah, how could you?
The vote was 22 to 21. No candidate reached 23 votes for vice chair.
That meant somebody did not vote, and thereby we did not get a majority of those eligible to vote.
Okay. So we're voting for chair. As soon as Michael Molinari gives me the heads up,
We
we're
are ready to start. If-
Okay.
can I remind if
So
anyone has,
just reminding everyone, does anyone have any questions? It seems like there's some confusion. Michelle? You're choosing between Alex Bell and Doug Kleiman for the role of chair of CB7 for next year. Okay? Alex or Doug? Voting is open and will be open for 1 minute. Ethel, we got it. Okay. We want. Voting is
voting
open.
is now open.
Okay. Everyone online got that? You're voting between Alex and Doug.
Deja vu all over again.
Between. Nobody got 23.
Yeah, get it. That's a good point. It should be. Yeah. It's a good question. It's a good point.
5 seconds. Sorry. Okay. Voting is closed for the election for chair. As soon as Michael gives us the heads up, we're going to move to vice chair again. That will be between Richard Asche and Polly Spain. You will vote for either Richard or Polly.
Just 1 second.
1 minute.
Just 1 second. 1
Once
second.
big thanks to Michael doing double co-secretary duty tonight.
Okay, voting is now live
Yep.
for Richard or Polly.
Polly.
Please,
Richard.
everyone vote because we do need a majority in order to have a winner.
I got an error. Can I do it over again?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 21 to 22.
Again, you're voting for Richard or Polly for vice chair, first name only. Everyone online, make sure you got that set up.
And just a reminder, everyone, please vote as we did not get to a number previously.
Yes,
People
please
did not-
vote. We don't want to have to do another round. Okay, 5 seconds. All right, voting is closed for vice chair and we will be back to you with hopefully the winners for chair and vice chair. Thanks again to everyone.
We are running way behind schedule. And we may need to, in effect, lay over some of our planned votes until next month, or if they're urgent, maybe a special election or a special board meeting. But in any case, I'd like to offer a brief moment for our council member to address us tonight. And we have a couple of members of the public before we start the business session. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. A few things. First of all, I want to join Doug in saying that the Saul Zaber had a great life. I actually went last night to the hospital with Sean Abreu to see him, and he died soon thereafter. And his family was there. Very special. Also, I just want to mention in terms of funding that the Congressman mentioned, as one example, Community School District 3 had, I'd say 2 years ago, gotten a grant that they worked hard for, a 7.5 million. Just got cut, the entire thing. They had a year and a half of using it for robotics and tutoring and everything to keep young people up on their studies. That's an example. Second, I went to a museum the other day in the district. They even cut from members of Congress, meaning the Gillibrand had given this museum 3 million. It's gone. So it's just endless with these. You think it's someplace else where these cuts are taking place? It's right here in our neighborhood, just to mention. Good news about some things. West 96th Street on the north side, and I want to thank Board 7 for participating. We're trying to deal with the pigeons and the rats. And we're having some luck, thanks to the Parks Department. I won't get into all the specifics, but thanks to the work here and with others, there's a lot of effort to make that place, I don't know, rat-free and pigeon-free, but trying really hard, and to renovate the building that goes with it. And then on the southern part of the district, again, with all 3 community boards, we've been working at the entrance to Central Park, which looks disgusting, between the vendors and the garbage and the main monument. It looks horrible. So we've gotten working with all the agencies and the vendors, the representatives. We have managed to have the vendors leave every night, which they were not. It is power washed on a regular basis. Sanitation is doing the bike lane, and we're going to try to have new ballards that don't look like hell as the ones that are there. So just so you know, those efforts take a while, but they're happening. We gave money to Goddard, to Green Keepers, to do a lot more work cleaning up up and down Broadway. And I just want to mention that because they are working hard. We also have had some luck with sanitation getting more litter baskets. It is a constant fight to get more litter baskets, but we've been working on that. We also have been working on potentially budgeting is going to be starting up very soon, and I hope that people understand how important that is. Every dollar counts given what we're expecting in this situation. I do want to thank SEMA in particular for all the work on ABC. I know you'll talk about it later. One hell of a mess to get this thing pulled off, but she has been great. We've been working together on construction also, because I don't think they should have a Saturday permit. It's called after hours variance. I don't think they should have it, but we're fighting to get that to go away. But meanwhile, construction is ongoing for demolition. I also want to thank the board for all the work you're doing on the West Park Presbyterian Church. I know that's coming up, a lot of topics on Thursday night. I want to also say something small. We got the escalator fixed at Trader Joe's. I never saw so many freaking complaints about the escalator at Trader Joe's. I don't know what the hell it has to do with me. But we have been in touch with everybody at Trader Joe's, and it looks like it's working. I don't know about the elevator or whatever, but they seem to be moving. Meanwhile, the one at Columbus Circle, which Related is in charge of, is not yet working, but we promised in November. Let's see what really happens. I want to just mention things that something positive, the whole issue of e-bikes. Somebody said earlier we don't want to talk about e-bikes. Good luck if you don't talk about e-bikes. So there are 2 things. One is we did pass a bill that puts more owner on the apps. There will be another package coming up Thursday. Basically, people who are delivering have to have a vest and lights and a helmet paid for by the apps, and a battery that works that's paid for by the apps. The apps give it to them. Of course, if they don't use it, then the delivery person's in trouble. But if you don't, as an app, give it to that person, then the app is in trouble. This gives a stick to the agency to be able to say, you cannot expect somebody to do the delivery if they don't have the tools to do it. So that's one aspect of what's happening. The second, of course, is as time goes on, we don't want them to have to get stuck on the platform. You do not get that delivery done. You are not going to stay on that platform. And it's frightening. That's why you go so fast. So all of these are discussions taking place around e-bikes. I know there's also a concern about what's going on in Central Park. I think the Central Park Conservancy is really trying hard to make it all work, but there's certainly a lot of discussion. I also want to mention Malachi McCourt. Thank you for passing that particular signing. Let me tell you, it was so moving. Hundreds of people showed up with the wonderful Irish humor that he loved so much and was so good at, and was a big deal for the entire family. I also want to say thank you to DOT because there's going to be a mid-block traffic light on 72nd Street, which has been a request of the community for a very long time. And I think that's a big deal. We also have applications for the people who are cultural organizations to work with senior centers. We have lots of meetings coming up. If you don't get our newsletter, I'll shoot you. You have to get the newsletter because I can't go through all the events. And it really is filled with information and things that you are interested in. I think so. We got the RAD Academy. We have things, tech clinic coming up. We have obviously lots of things that are going on in the office for veterans, people who have scree-dree problems, and everything else you can think of. We also have a wonderful book for children that is coming up. And we have food for seniors, which is finishing in the month of November. Now, I got in a lot of trouble from some people about daylighting. This is a very controversial topic. So I took my name off a bill that said every single corner should be daylit. California has passed a law that went into effect in January, and I look forward to seeing how that comes to fruition in terms of saving lives. At the same time, there is a bill that says you have to do daylighting. So it's not like this is not something that happens on a regular basis. So I will look at this more carefully, but I just want you to know there's pros and cons, and I have heard from more people about the pros and the cons. I also want to just mention the ballot proposals, as you know, will really hurt the work that you do and that the council does in terms of 2, 3, and 4. We had a press conference today with a lot of unions. A lot of the work that you have done over the years would not be possible if these ballot proposals go through. So I hope you make sure and tell people not to vote for them. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Gail. Can we hear from Brad Hoylman-Sigal online?
Thank
briefly?
you. Thank you, Beverly. I'll be super brief. I know this has been a long evening, and congratulations for the winners and for those who will be named the winners. As a former board chair, I know how hard this job is, Beverly, and you've done an amazing job. So thank you for your steady hand and leading this board. It means a lot, and look forward to working you with everyone come January. Thank you, Gail, for acknowledging the passing of Saul Zabar. You know, Saul Zabar, when I saw him once, I told him that we often refer to our district as a district that runs from the gay bars to Zabars. And I said, is that okay, sir, that we're using your trademark name? And he said, that's already been done before. I'm like, what? I thought we came up with it. And he's like, no, Stephen Schwartz wrote a musical in the 1970s where that line was invented. So he set me straight on that. But obviously today is another anniversary of October 7th, the 2-year anniversary of the attack in Israel. So many of us are thinking about that and about the war that has followed and the lives lost. I wanted to mention an effort that Esther Caroline from my team, who is there in person tonight, has been leading at Park West Village. Last week, the Manhattan District Attorney indicted Meyer Shetrit for felony tenant harassment and Chelsea after seniors were forced to live for years without heat, with collapsing ceilings, leaking roofs, and broken elevators. We've been hearing many similar complaints from tenants at Park West Village on the Upper West Side, a large Cetrit-owned complex spanning 7 buildings. And seniors there have reported threats of eviction and unsafe living conditions. Some residents even reported that their subsidy credits were disappearing from their ledgers despite proof of payment through publicly subsidized programs like SCREE and DREE and ERAP. And that's why, along with Assemblymember Micah Lasher and Councilmember Sean Abreu, we launched a confidential tenant survey to document the harassment, the billing irregularities, and neglect. So we're going to be sharing those results with the DA and relevant and city and state agencies to pursue every available remedy. On vaccines, I was really unhappy to learn that New York is among 16 states where pharmacies are holding back on offering COVID vaccines because of the federal regulatory uncertainty precipitated by the notorious vaccine skeptic Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And it's pretty clear that New York can't, for the time being, rely on the federal government for public health guidance. So while we are grateful to Governor Hochul for issuing an executive order temporarily protecting vaccine access, we need permanent protections now. So to that end, I drafted a bill with Assemblymember Lasher amending another vaccine bill that I carried to authorize the State Department of Health going forward to serve as an alternative source of authority to the CDC with regard to vaccine schedules. And the bill will allow pharmacies to offer COVID vaccines, so as long as they are authorized by the State Department of Health, independent of bad faith political decision-making in Washington. And I'm really grateful to the CB7 Health and Human Services Committee for voting on a resolution in support of this bill. Finally, this month we learned about a deeply troubling situation at Penn Station in our district. Reports show that Amtrak police have launched an organized sting operation in the men's bathroom. You'd think they'd have something better to do, specifically targeting gay men and other LGBTQ individuals through undercover sting operations. In June, there were 23 arrests for public lewdness. I thought we had, ended these kinds of sting operations in the 1970s, but apparently not. Apparently, they were making up to 20 arrests a day. Many of the charges have been dropped, but only after people were handcuffed and humiliated. And at least in one instance, the person was turned over to ICE. So thanks to Congressman Nadler and my colleague, Senator Krueger and Assemblymember Simone, we're working together to demand that Amtrak immediately end these discriminatory practices, and they are discriminatory, and meet with us to explain their actions. I met with Andy Byford, who Trump has designated to redesign Penn Station the other day, and he's well aware of the situation. Even though he's not overseeing operations, he assures us that the meeting with Amtrak will happen soon. And then finally, I'm sorry, CD Kratom shops. Kratom. We know that there's one in our neighborhood, and there's several across our district. They keep popping up across the city. Kratom is an addictive, psychoactive substance. I honestly didn't even know what it was until very recently. That's been linked to serious health risks, including dependency and overdose, and it's being sold in storefronts with very little oversight. So I voted yes on a Senate bill that would prohibit the sale of kratom to anyone under 21. It passed both houses, and we're waiting for the governor's signature. In addition to kratom, these CBD kratom shops also sell substances like CBD and THC. So we sent a letter to the State Office of Cannabis Management asking for clarity on what licenses or permits, if any, are required for these shops, whether the specific locations we identified are authorized or inspected, and whether the agency plans to issue regulations to address the growing health concerns around kratom. So we need to make sure that these dangerous substances aren't being sold unchecked in our neighborhoods. Thank you very much. Great to see everyone.
We do have one more elected official, but I think everyone is waiting to hear the results of the election. So let's do that first, and then we'll hear from Linda Rosenthal.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for participating from the board, and to all the candidates. Very close races, especially the runoffs that we just had. Please join me in congratulating our new chair of Community Board 7 for the upcoming year, Alex Bell. And our new vice chair for the next year, Richard Asche.
Okay.
The vote will be available at the office as per our bylaws. The specifics, yes, for anyone who wishes to inquire. Can we hear from Linda?
Yes, I'm right here, patiently waiting. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. So Linda Rosenthal, Assembly Member, Upper West Side, parts of Hell's Kitchen. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to those who didn't win for putting your name out there and trying. And congratulations, Nandita, in the future. I like that line a lot. Okay, so vaccines, I know Brad mentioned it. I've been trying to fight back against the terrifying assault on medical science that we're seeing from the White House, particularly RFK Jr., who doesn't have a scientific background. I mean, that could be one of the deadliest facets of this administration is removing the ability for people to get vaccinated against mumps and German measles or rubella and hepatitis B and everything else that we have achieved up to now so that babies don't die and adults don't get measles, and it's really a calamity. So in September, I wrote to the governor and I urged her to issue non-specific patient standing orders for COVID vaccine to bypass the need for a prescription. She indeed did that a few days later. And I also encouraged her to require insurance carriers to continue covering the vaccine. I also sent her a letter ahead of RFK's advisory committee on immunization practices, urging her to issue standing orders for all vaccines, including MMR and hepatitis.
You don't need to hear
B.
all this now.
No.
Since last month, I've introduced legislation requiring insurance carriers to continue covering the cost of any vaccine that the state recommends, as well as legislation providing liability coverage to pharmacists who administer vaccines recommended by the state. I've also introduced the Refuting False Knowledge Act, which establishes a medical communication board within the New York State Department of Health that would combat the medical misinformation that is emanating from Washington in real time. I had a flu shot day the other day in partnership with Mount Sinai, and some might consider getting a vaccine part of the resistance these days. Last session, I passed a law with Senator Toby Stavisky, and we had a celebration of the passage of the first in the nation law that will require insurance companies to cover the cost of scalp cooling, which is a hair preservation treatment for those undergoing chemotherapy. We had like a 2-hour sort of mini conference with women who were grappling with different cancers, who explained how this particular treatment helped save their hair. And we also discussed IVF and fertility and all the pain of having cancer and treatments available. But the scalp cooling was first in the nation. Everybody's really excited about that. I know a lot of us and a lot of my constituents are calling and stopping me on the street. They are worried about if ICE and the National Guard are deployed.
A few minutes.
And so on October 9th at 6:30, I'm having a webinar with NYCLU, New York Civil Liberties Union, and the Brennan Center, where they will go through what we can expect, what we can do if ICE and the National Guard come here, and if the president tries to turn the military on our fair city where crime is at a low. On Friday, October 10th, I'm having an MFJ legal clinic from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And people's most favorite day is Shred Day, Tuesday, October 28th, from 9 to noon in front of my district office. On the Kratom thing, I've written to the city and we've talked to the sheriffs about all those stores, so I'll give you an update. I know you want to move on, so I will end here. Congratulations, everyone, and keep the fight up. Thank you.
We'll hear briefly from Eleni from Lincoln Center. Thank you.
Briefly.
Good evening, everyone. So first, congratulations to all of the winners. I wanted to just say that what I heard from a lot of the candidates tonight is a desire for greater partnership with the community. And we at Lincoln Center truly value our partnership with Community Board 7 and having you all here tonight. As a cultural and civic cornerstone of New York City, we're a place where artists carry us forward. And so really quickly, a few events that are coming up. This Friday, we're partnering with Senator Cordell Clear, just our neighbors to the north, for free John Coltrane Jazz Appreciation Festival at Marcus Garvey Park from 3 to 7. We have partnered with Amsterdam Edition, a niche development just across the street on West 64th Street. If you haven't seen it, there's a beautiful mural that we are publicly unveiling, and it was in partnership with Lincoln Center, Tatiana by Kwame Onuachi, Public Housing Community Fund, Artolution, and the local residents. And just the colors are so bright and vibrant, and it was so great to work with the local residents to design it. The Legacies of San Juan Hill Festival kicks off. There are still tickets if y'all are interested. There's a brochure in the back, and we still have hold, so feel free to see me afterwards. And then we have a ton of free performances throughout. A few from our resident arts organizations, Juilliard Station, stop in for inspiring 45-minute evening rush hour performances on 66th Street and Broadway, right in front of the subway station. The New York Public Library for the Performing Arts is offering the next 2 weeks of free dance classes. If you know older adults or local residents that are available from 10:30 to 1 Monday through Friday and want to stop in, feel free to share that information. And then we have tons of Halloween performances. And one of our biggest events that happens in October is our one-day open house. So this year it'll be on October 26th. It's a full campus takeover all day. And this year, all of the resident arts organizations are participating. So we're really excited for that and hope to welcome you back. Thanks.
I think we had 3 members from the public who are here to speak. We will only have 1 minute because we are pressed on time. So if you're here from the public to speak, you can come up to the microphone now. Anyone? Going once? Not sure. Alex, you're writing to me? No.
I believe we are down to one person at this point.
We have 1
I'd like
minute
to call on Steve Anderson for 1 minute, if he is available. Steve?
Well, thanks, everybody. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, but I'm seeing some nods, so I assume you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. So congratulations to all. I know that the community board will be working on the issue of how to put a greater focus on the issue of public safety, which is a concern of virtually every resident of our community, old and young, in the street, on the sidewalk, all over the place. Many people ask, are we sliding to an era that we all remember, sadly, in the 70s? As we see the number of cops in our precincts going down to record lows because our crime stats aren't high enough to demand greater attention, it seems a shame. It seems criminal to have to wait until we have more crime before we have more officers able to prevent crime. I urge the community board to seriously consider how the community board can have a comprehensive, focused, ongoing attention to all of the issues of public safety in our community. Thank you so much for allowing me this 1 minute to speak.
Thank you very much, Steve. With that, I'd like to move immediately to housing and land use, and we'll get as much done as we can in the 20 minutes we have left. Thank you.
Okay, in 2014, the BSA approved a special permit for the Arte Café on.
This is
73rd
really enough,
Street.
Dick.
Speak into the mic, yeah.
Cool.
Microphone. You bring it. Yeah.
You have to listen to the land.
On
use.
73rd Street. Most of you know where it is. And it was for an extension of the cafe into the residential building that was next door. So they were in a commercial district, and right next door, there was an RAB. They extended into it. What they were supposed to do was to put a number of seats and tables in the basement area. We approved it also. The special permit was for 5 years. It expired in 2019. They just kept going. It is 6 years since the special permit expired, and they came before us and wanted to basically legalize what they have been doing, and also, excuse me, I have a cold, and also to extend the special permit into the cellar where they wanted to do food prep and lockers for their employees.
Louisa, I would assume that the members of our board had the opportunity to read the full resolution. So I don't know that you need to summarize it in any kind of detail.
Done.
So, okay.
Okay, so they came before us and we disapproved it 12-2 to 0-0 because they have consistently have a pattern of non-compliance and violations. There was a huge turnout from their neighbors and who, even people on 72nd Street who complained about how they were being impacted by it. The owner says that he is working on mitigating and correcting all the violations. And we said that if he does so in connection with the community, we would take a look at his application again. But at the moment, it is disapproved. So,
Can we open this item for voting?
We're not ready to vote yet, though.
Okay, now a yes vote is to agree with the committee or?
Yeah.
Okay, it's yes to agree to disapprove. All right. So it's yes to agree with
Voting
the
is now
committee's
open.
decision. Is the voting open?
Voting is open.
my vote,
Yes.
disapproving.
But it's a yes to this.
Yes.
So yes is to disapprove.
Ten more seconds, please. Okay, we're stopping the voting. The final vote is 33-200. Oh, sorry, 36-200.
Good.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay, next item, we're gonna have a slide up that shows you what we're talking about. This is about the Construction Advisory Task Force for the Extel ABC project. The resolution it's pretty straightforward. After hearing the concerns of our neighbors, we're proposing to create a construction advisory task force to manage communication around the demolition and construction activities as the project progresses. The task force will meet regularly throughout the project and will be composed of local residents, business owners, community board members, elected officials, representatives of the 2 adjacent BIDs, business improvement districts, community partners, representatives from Extel's development and construction teams, and as needed, representatives from city agencies. Our goal is to create a transparent, safe, and productive environment for the community and for the developer during the construction and demolition. Questions?
No time for
Oh.
questions. Can we hold them? If you read the resolution, you're well briefed.
I can tell you, the vote was 13-001, non-committee 100.
Okay.
This was basically unanimous.
Can we open for voting, please? Calling the question?
Vote is open for Housing and Land Use 2. Just do another 20 seconds here.
While people are voting, I just want to plug Kristen, Minna, Louisa, and I are having a joint meeting of YEL and Land Use and Housing to talk about the Bloomingdale Library project. We would love for you all to come. There's some information already on the agenda, so please take a look. Looking forward to it. It's going to be at the land use meeting, so third Wednesday of the month, which is maybe the 15th.
Okay, we're gonna wrap the vote here. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Final vote 39-100. 39-100.
Thank you. Housing and Land Use number 3.
Okay, so okay, we lost our slide, but you remember what we're talking about. Affordable housing at the Extale project, former ABC site. The history of our involvement in the project is to be found in a resolution that we passed as a full board in May of 2025, a few months ago. Since that time, Mr. Gary Barnett of Extale Development made an offer to provide 121 units, thank you, of affordable housing spread across 2 buildings on the block, both of which happen to fall in the Upper West Side Central Park West Historic District. He's proposing 1 new building at 30 West 67th, which you can see would be right to the right of 40. And then a renovated building at 7 West 66. The affordable housing units basically amount to about 7 to 10% of the residential square footage of the project, and primarily in studio units. You can see in the table in the resolution. We find this to be wholly inadequate. So in this resolution, we're in summary resolving the 3 following things. 1, we reiterate our firm position that the ABC site should include affordable housing equal to 30% of the site's residential square footage, designed predominantly for families. Number 2, we ask city planning once again to consider rezoning or mapping mandatory inclusionary housing to the site. And lastly, 3rd, we commit to actively working with Extel, the office of Councilmember Gale Brewer, the community, HPD, DCP, to come up with creative solutions to achieve this goal of 30% affordable housing.
Calling the question?
By square footage, right? Not by units, by square footage.
What was the vote? Open.
Sorry, the vote in the committee was 9001 and non-committee 100.
Call the question. Voting is live.
Yep.
The efficient meetings we promised. For just another 30 seconds on this one. I know we're going quickly. Just, we have 15 minutes left, so.
Caputo, do you want to come up to do, we have one last resolution.
10 more seconds. Okay, we're going to stop the vote here. Final vote 35010. 35010.
Thank you. Housing and Land Use number 4.
Hi, so I'll be very quick. So this is the Manhattan Plan. This was presented to us, leaders of the committee in May, and it's essentially a plan to add 100,000 new homes to the borough over the next decade. Next slide, please. Keep going, please. Keep going. Manhattan production is falling behind. We're building less and less housing. Keep going. As you can see, very uneven housing production. The two neighborhoods that are built the least are Upper West Side, Upper East Side. Over the last 9 years, our neighborhood has actually lost housing, a net loss of 11 units. Keep going, please. And as a result of this, prices are going up, as you can see here. Very low vacancy and rents are very high. Next slide, please. Here we have a map of what is called mandatory inclusionary zoning. This is a new zoning that was created by the city of Yes, which sorry, MH is not new, but the city of Yes allows R11 and R12 zoning, which increase FAR, but mandate at least 20 to 30% of the construction be affordable. You can keep going. So now it's time to act. The city has reached out to any stakeholder to provide ideas for how we can build more housing in Manhattan. And our task here is to come up with ideas for how to do so in our district. So what we did was at a meeting in June of our committee, we asked for volunteers and created a working group to come up with ideas. And we have 3 ideas here to vote on. So could we put up the resolution, please? Oh, actually, let's keep going. There's one last slide I would like to show. The very last one. So this is a map of the Upper West Side, shows the landmarked areas in our neighborhood. So let's keep that in mind as we discuss. That's about 71% of the square miles of our neighborhood is currently landmarked. Wow. Okay, if we could put up the resolution now, we'll talk through. So we came up with 3 ideas to provide more housing.
Davida, are we voting on them separately or together?
2 parts.
Okay.
2 parts. The part 1 has 2 of the ideas. Part 1 is legalizing SROs, as well as suggesting soft sites which are underbuilt, meaning less than 50% of the allowed density of the zone density is being used. These soft sites are.
We have literally 5 minutes left, so can we either bundle them or jump to a vote literally as soon as possible?
Okay, we'll vote on the first thing. 2 points. 1, legalize SROs. SROs are housing units where there's smaller units where 1 or 2 people can live, and 1 person can live, and you share a kitchen and or a bathroom. These were very common in the Upper West Side and around New York City before. They've now been banned. That would require changing laws at the city and state level. Idea 2 is a list of potential sites which are underbuilt, where housing could be built. These sites are using less than 50% of their zoned capacity. The public sites are schools, post offices, libraries, etc. If you scroll down, you can see the list. And then some private sites, such as some.
Okay.
So those are and these are just potential suggestions where housing could be built. We're not saying you have to build something there. This would all be subject to a ULURP, so we could vote on this again. These are just suggestions. So if we can vote on part 1, which is SROs, and suggested sites, which are soft sites or underbuilt sites.
So we want 2 separate votes right now? Okay. Can we call the question on the?
I have a comment. before we,
Okay,
I don't mean to, I know we are short on time here. Andrew, I don't mean this personally here, but we dedicated 3 minutes to talking about bagels. I think we need to give a little more than a minute to talking about something that is incredibly critical to the future of this community, not for tomorrow, but for the next 50 and 100 years. I think we should stop the meeting here and bring this to the next meeting whenever we meet, because this is incredibly critical to what the future of this community is going to look like. And I think we need to give the time.
wait. We have one problem with that, in that we are on a time limit from the city. And they have basically given us until today to,
Then we shouldn't have
provide
waited until today.
So the city planning closed the comment period September 30th. They have given us the latitude to go to this meeting and present with whatever we agree to. They didn't give us, honestly, they presented this to us the end of May, and we worked all summer, but this is the first opportunity that we've had to present to the board.
I hear that, but I think that we should have had different conversations at different times to give the space for this conversation. This feels so.
I think we are where we are, and I think that certainly the first item, which is the SRO piece, is something that we have a long history with and perhaps can vote on, because the second one is perhaps a little more complicated.
One other thing. So the first part that we're voting on is SRO legalization and building on city-owned land / a couple of private parcels. That passed almost unanimously through our committee. I think that is like a very reasonable thing to do. The rezonings were a little more controversial. I think it was 6-4 to 0 to 1 or something like that. So that might merit some further discussion.
Can we call the question on part one? And if it goes down because people are uncomfortable, then the vote goes down. Call the question on part one.
This SRO, this is SRO. It
Does not include the rezoning. It includes, potential sites that may be under.
This is housing
and the SROs.
Housing and land use.
We are bundled?
Number 4,
No, we are not bundling no.
Got it.
Part one of the resolution, but without the rezoning.
Voting is now open. Okay, 30 more seconds, 15 more seconds, really. Okay, we're going to close the vote. The final vote is 35-0. 35-0 carries.
Thank you very much.
31, it came in.
And we will.
Yeah, that's counted. Well, there's 2 abstentions. No, 34
or 35-1.
35,
Right?
sorry, 31-5-0. 31 yes, 5 no, 2 abstention, 0 ineligible for cause.
Will you withdraw the other part of this, given that it's a little more complicated and I sense that a great many people are confused about it still?
I think we should bring it up next time.
Bring it up next time and for whatever it's worth.
Should we vote on it?
Thank you. No, I don't. I think it makes sense not to vote. Ken, if you can get this done in 3 minutes.
Because it's been presented.
Brad Hoylman-Sigal gave a really great
It wasn't presented.
summary of this resolution, if you were paying attention. It's on vaccines. This resolution is support of the bill of Brad's and Michael Asche that would allow the pharmacists to follow the guidelines and the recommendations of the state Department of Health and the Commissioner of Health, rather than the federal government, which has been taken over at the Department of HHS by the quote unquote notorious vaccine skeptic who he referred to. And there, as I'm sure you've been reading, there've been an awful lot of firings and purgings of the Vaccine Recommendation Committee. So this allows pharmacists to follow guidance that is based on science and not.
Calling the question.
And it passed our committee 11-0.
Vote is open.
Done.
Maybe you'll get. Can you do parks in 1 minute?
Wow. Running everything. This is the official meeting we talked about.
Bethesda Fountain, everybody knows where that is.
Sorry, just real quick, I just need to give the vote for the last one. Final here, 32-1-0-0.
Bethesda Fountain, everybody knows where that is. It hasn't been restored or renovated since, I think, 1988. So it's in very bad shape, both the sculpture, the fountain basin, and also they need to install new equipment for RPZ backflow management and an electrical cabinet also to manage everything. So the good news is that for something like Bethesda Fountain and Bethesda Terrace, they have a lot of historic diagrams, photographs to look up in order to stay very, very true to the historical design of the terrace. So that is what they have done. I had a presentation, but I guess it's not up. I would recommend that we vote in favor. I don't have the vote with me, the committee vote, but I think it was passed unanimously in committee. So that is one part of the resolution. The second part is Grand Army Plaza Lighting. That's the southeastern corner of Central Park. The Parks Department, under the guidance of the DOT, wants to change the type of lighting that is over there. Currently, the lights that are there to light the plazas, the north and south plazas, and the monuments, they are problematic because they have some new technology called the photocell, which does not really work. It breaks down frequently, and it is actually very difficult for DOT to replace. So they're actually proposing 25-foot tall poles, 2 of them each on the south and north plazas. And there will be lights sort of bundled together on the top, along with a box, a control box for the photocell. And these lights will serve to illuminate not just the plaza, but also the monuments. And they will sort of blend in with the modern architecture around in that area. And if 25 feet sounds really high to you, it is, but it's actually shorter than, the traffic lights and other street lights in the area. So,
all the questions.
oh, no, I mean, they didn't tell us.
No.
My committee vote was 10-0-0-0.
Okay, can we open this for vote, please?
Voting is open. We are at 9:30, by the way.
We should do this. Your leadership.
Thank you for a long meeting.
We're not done yet.
You have to get the
Yeah,
result.
we need to get people to vote first.
But I'll speak simultaneously so things go quickly. Thank you for everything. We will defer the DOT items until next month. They were not really time sensitive, so I think that works, and we'll put them maybe as long as Alex agrees at the beginning of the meeting.
Final vote here, 36-0-1-0 carries, 36-0-1-0.
And can Alex, you join me, please? We have a motion to adjourn.
Yes. No. All right.